Hello everyone, this is Professor Hill, and this is a short video for our class, Introduction to Ethics, Philosophy 2306, here at St. Philip's College. This is the online Summer 1 version of the class. Today is Tuesday, the 26th of June, 2018, and we're in week 4 of our 5-week class, which means that we really only have 2 of the writing assignments left. That's discussion number 6, which is the case of Baha Musa, which is due tomorrow, Wednesday, June the 27th. And then also another one, the last one, which is the case of Cassandra C. And that assignment is due Sunday night, July the 1st. Now, those are the last 2 writing assignments. We've also got the final exam, which is due on Thursday, July the 5th. So make sure you don't lose track of that with the 4th of July holiday in the middle there. We want to make sure that you get your 2 writing assignments done, the final exam downloaded, completed, and then uploaded again. So just make sure you keep an eye on that, because that's only a little over a week away from now. So we're wrapping things up. And when we get to Sunday night, the case of Cassandra C., what you'll see is that it's a case that's very similar to the first one that we started with, which was the Jenny Lake case. There's similarities between those cases. They're different cases. They're both real case studies. These things actually happened. And there's different ethical questions involved in them. But what we hope is that we can analyze it, compare it, and contrast it with the Jenny Lake case, and do this in light of a month of studying ethics and talking about our textbook, Doing Ethics by Louis Vaughn. Now, look, let's talk about the one that's due tomorrow, Wednesday night, the 27th. This is the case of Baha Musa, and it turns out that this is, it's a sad case like many of the case studies we've been looking at. It's a true story, and it involves IHL, International Humanitarian Law. So when you look into the modules, you'll see links, you'll see some materials in there about IHL, which is International Humanitarian Law, which is kind of the modern version of an old thing, which was the old law of arms. This was kind of the chivalry that grew out of the wars between the French and the English in Europe. And really, for hundreds of years, there were these customs that when armies would fight, there were certain things you would do and not do. Those things over time became codified into the written down multilateral treaties that we have today, and most people are familiar with the Geneva Conventions, which is kind of the birthplace of modern written treaty-based international humanitarian law that governs armed conflicts today. So if you're a party to an armed conflict, these are the rules that you follow, like Geneva Conventions, which spell out things like how you have to treat your prisoners of war. The fact that you can't blow up things like hospitals. You can't use certain weapons like chemical weapons. Certain things like hospitals are off limits, but also certain people, civilians, non-combatants. And they spell these things out, why and what the rules are. And that body of law, which is kind of a subset of a larger thing, which is the big thing is human rights law. Within that is the laws that just apply to armed conflict, and that is modern IHL, International Humanitarian Law. So there's a lot of this material in the modules, in the materials there. I want you to take a look at it, get a grasp of what we're talking about, the key terms and definitions, and then see how it applies to this case of Baha Musa. And specifically, we're looking at the doctor. What obligations did the doctor have to treat and not treat, to report or not report, in what was clearly a highly charged situation, a difficult, stressful situation, but one in which there's just a horrible, terrible outcome. So take a look at the case study. Do it in light of the virtue ethics of Chapter 7, but also in light of the materials there on IHL, International Humanitarian Law. there's a lot to think about and bring to bear on this particular case. And listen, what you're going to see there are the materials talking about the doctor, talking about how, listen, this guy, he's an adult, he's a doctor, he's got professional responsibilities, should have known better, had training on IHL. And yet there's other people that make the argument that, look, he's also essentially a victim in this case. There's a long article about that perspective on it. He was new, he's a young doctor, straight out of medical school, and operating in a system where he faced enormous pressures and faced extraordinarily difficult conditions in a situation in which decision-making is stressed and impaired at best. But does that mitigate his responsibilities? Does it mitigate what we think about his actions or lack thereof? These are all things that we have to kind of weigh and balance and bring to bear in this particular case study. So look at the IHL materials, look at Chapter 7 in the Virtue Ethics, and bring some of that to bear in the case study that's due tomorrow, Wednesday, the 27th. The Cassandra C, I'll talk more about that once we get on the other side of tomorrow's assignment. And again, keep an eye on that final exam. Don't let it sneak up on you. Download that thing, take a look, see exactly what's required and needed. And again, I've had a couple of questions about this. You can just pick from the case studies that are there one. But remember, just write one essay for the final exam. You're going to see that also there are case studies from the ones we've had before, which is, that's there by design. If you've thought about this, written about this, think of those as a first draft for the essay you're writing for the final exam. So you get a second bite at that apple to come in and rewrite and rethink and adjust, especially in light of the conversation we had about it. Hopefully your opinion is either reinforced or was challenged by the discussion, people's comments, whether they agree with you, disagreed, and why. So that's the reason why I want to circle back with the essay questions on the final exam and give you not necessarily a new one, but one that you might have written about and thought about before and now are going to take another swing at. So that's where we are in terms of the class. Like I said, it's Tuesday the 26th. We only have a little over a week to go, so we're getting down to it. Number 6 due tomorrow, Wednesday. The last discussion on Sunday night, and then that final exam. If you've got questions, let me know. Most of the questions right now are, why haven't you finished all the grading? And I'm trying, believe me, I'm trying to catch up with it right now. There's just been a lot to say. So I'm doing my best to catch up. I'm behind, but I'll get there myself. So like I said, it's Tuesday. We all finish next week Thursday. I'm on it. So again, let me know if you got any other questions. In the meantime, take care. I hope you had a good weekend. And keep reading, keep writing. Take a look at that IHL material. Bring it into the case study. Take care. Bye-bye.